April 18th, 2020.
I begin to believe that I'm responsible for how somebody receives my word. Well, that's about the most egotistical thing I think a person could do. I wish for people to hear it as I intended.
I'm hearing your words as you're intending it. Because there's a way you're talking that people can interpret what you're saying, good or bad, and then there's how you intended for people to hear it, if you have ears to hear.
And this came as a result of the conversation about the Four Corners meeting. It's not a meeting that we are organizing. Let me make that abundantly clear. That's simply where I will be if forced vaccinations on all Americans comes about. Now, why there? Well, because it's surrounded by open desert, hundreds of miles of no people. So how could I be a threat there?
For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. And if any man say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christs, false prophets, and shall show great wonders and signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Behold, I have told you before. Therefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in secret chambers, believe it not.
In order not to have that inflicted upon them, we'll simply depart the state as each state begins to implement such draconian measures. Well, where could you go? Where could you end up? You could only end up at one place where they would never force you to do such a thing. The Four Corners. I saw this in a vision. How could I possibly have a vision where 12 million people were assembled in the desert in the Four Corners?
Wherefore, if they, Derek Bros from Global Witness, shall say unto you, because he is the false Christ, shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth, or do as thou wilt. But behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, 8 years and 365 days ago, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, hitting the William Penn building, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, not with the holographic images in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. The four winds of heaven, the four winds, the four corners of the earth. May 21st, 20th, May 20th, 21st, 2020. He's sending you to a literal sense of the Bible being fulfilled. Also, not to go to the desert, because that's where he is, the false Christ. There, he won't force you to do anything, because he forced the entire planet to get mandatory vaccines and wear your damn mask, or else you can't go or do anything. But here, where this cult leader is, it's like he's going to get you guys to drink all the damn Kool-Aid and commit suicide. Here in the four corners. Who will be there and why? Well, by May 20th, May 21st, who's going to be there at the four corners? Immediately after those days of the tribulation, when the sun's going to be darkened and the moon's not going to give her light. And unto the angel of the church of Smyrna write, these things saith the first and the last, which was dead and is alive at this exact time. To the angel of the church of Smyrna write, these things saith the first and the last, who is telling you that you're going to have 10 days of tribulation. But at the same time, you're being told by someone that was dead and is alive, you're going to have tribulation for 10 days. And it came to pass in the 600th year, and in the 601st year, in the first month, the first day of the month, the waters were dried up from off the earth, and Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. And in the second month, the first year, and the 27th day of the month, the first month, the first day of the month, the waters were dried up from off the earth, and Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. And in the second month, the 27th day of the month, was the earth dried. According to Harold Camping, this is the date for the second month, the 27th day, and May 21st is the second month and the 17th day. But he's a false prophet, so you don't want to listen to him. And God spoke to Noah, saying, go forth of the ark, you, your wife, your sons' wives, and bring forth with everything, and multiply abundantly the entire planet once again.
Four corners. Many years ago, almost a decade now. How could that possibly happen, I asked. And I continually asked myself that same question. And then today, I saw how it could happen. So as these things take place, know where it is.
You know, these things that I am creating, by the way, I'm creating it so I can get you guys to come and worship me at the four corners of the earth.
I love you very much, and I would see you there.
I'm sorry, but that love just doesn't sound really authentic.
I love you very much. I love you very much, and I would see you there.
Hold up. Why does that look like Needle Park? It looks like when I'm looking at the art museum, and it has this 3 symbol over here, and it goes up right down Benjamin Franklin Parkway. And then that circle, the circle point, and then it goes down here to the Palisade, with the William Penn building being there.
land, and there's,
How could that possibly
how
happen?
you have that one thing that looks like that,
And I continually ask myself that same question.
and as you see it, there's like it's like the sixth trumpet, because it's six. You see what I'm saying right here? Six of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it goes up to a point, like it starts from one end to the other. I mean, you see right here, there's a lot of art. There's a lot of art in this area right here. It's the museum. And so it goes down on an angle, and then it gets shorter and shorter, like it narrows into itself, and then it goes across. The park. There's a park right there. You see that park?
Is it possible that a man from the ancient past is responsible for coronavirus and the strategy that is being executed as we speak? We'll discuss this on Global Witness coming up next.
There goes his V for victory. Absolute 3 and 3. The god of earth is Satan. Why else would he say that? Because he's trying to let you know.
But sometimes when you read the word, you have to really listen closely to certain statements, because it points to something larger going on. So when Jesus said, "From the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom has suffered violence, and the violent take the kingdom by force." Now, if you get into what that actually means, you would have to understand a little bit about John the Baptist. And if you want to know about John the Baptist, you need to understand those that worship and follow him.
So God always
to
makes
this
sure
very
there's
day.
witnesses.
They're not very
scribes
public about it.
That would follow the
Because
prophets
it's
around
secret.
and follow those that the Lord God called.
You see, John the
It's kinda
Baptist has
interesting,
been
like I have
the root
people
of
in my
secret
ministry
societies
like
throughout the world
Cat
for thousands of
Rory
years.
and Michael.
John
Michael
the
Stewart, Grand
Baptist
Junction,
is
Take
hailed
Away,
and
and I've had different people
honored
at different times
much
that the Lord
higher
brings in
than Jesus
as witnesses
or
that
almost
get to
anyone
see
else.
and witness, and they're just like
Now,
people
here's
that
what's
have come
so
down here
amazing.
that we're doubting.
Is that the groups that worship John the Baptist, these would be the Brethren of Zion, Knights Templar, Rosicrucians, all of these secret societies that ultimately worked for the Catholic Church and also became enemies of the Catholic Church, worked for the Jews and became enemies of the Jews. But that's just because they were actually fulfilling the function of what they were trying to accomplish for the future as two places where we're at as we speak.
And he, Derek Burrows, causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of his beast or the number of his name, and that no man might buy or sell. Because my phone likes to record backwards, I'll have to read it backwards for you. Effective Sunday, April 19th at 8 p.m. PA Department to Health will lend what customer? It's kind of hard to actually read upside down backwards. This store without a mask. You will not be able to enter this store unless you are wearing a mask because of the coronavirus. You cannot go into this store to buy anything if you don't have a mask. It's not a mark. It's not the beast. It's just the system that you're worshiping. And you're going to need whatever they're telling you to put on, which is the mark, whether it's a mask or the test or the vaccine. You won't be able to buy or sell without walking into these stores looking like a sheep with your face covered and your mouth shut.
This might sound a little odd, but please follow me here for just a second. Because you see, when Christ said that they take the kingdom by force, not only did he say that since John the Baptist, the violent have taken the kingdom by force. So,
I
what
just
was
had my
so
first
significant
experience.
about John?
The person that's not living.
Remember, Jesus also compared him, or said that if you
Whether or
can
not
wrap your mind around
some of the
it,
stuff that I
John
told
is
y'all,
Elijah.
they found it hard
So
to
when people
believe.
think of Elijah, they think because Elijah is chosen that he must be good. Well, that's not always the case. It's like reading Revelation. When you begin to read all of the apocalyptic times, you begin to realize that, wait, that trumpet might not be a good thing for us. That trumpet might mean pain. That trumpet might mean tribulation, but yet it's still God's. Now, is it really God, the Father's, or is it the God of this world?
Living in
since
fear
the
isn't
enemy
judging
is the
those
usurper,
that are living in fear.
since the enemy takes everything that is good,
This is a pattern that's developing very quickly,
wicked means bent.
and
So, if straight is the narrow
this
line,
is a target.
gate, bent.
That William Penn building right there in the dead center of Philadelphia.
So you just simply
a target.
take what is good and slightly taint it. Now, if you're listening to this and you're still following this, hear me out. Because as I've learned in my life, very spiritual moments come from very traumatic times. You see, because dying to the world is about dying to this physical body and everything that goes with it, and
No, it ain't. It's about dying to the system, the world. The world ending, the system's ending. Die to that.
all of the needs that go with it. This is why fasting is a part, that you sacrifice the needs of the world, of this fleshy body, for a little while to help you connect with a spiritual food. So all of these different pieces have that within it. Our consciousness is massively powerful.
It's only a matter of time until you cannot participate in the economy because you don't have the requirements that the government wants you to have.
So make no mistake about
Here's Derek talking to the spirit that he's looking for.
this. It's going to look like we're getting our ever-loving asses kicked. But this is how we fight our battles. They don't know our battle. They don't recognize our battle. They never will. Those that hear it will hear. They will come to you. You don't have to convince them anymore. Don't try. Because they have chosen a side. They will come to you in peace and humility if they're ready to hear what you have to say.
This is why even regular people are now talking about this mark of the beast system, because first it's a mask. All right, let's see who wears a mask. Let's see who complies. Let's see who stays home. Let's see who doesn't go out anywhere. Then
Toilet paper was a preamble. They're going to scare the shit out of everyone with stuff on the news. You want to see what the next panic buy is?
But literally, yes, the world's going to play this out. They're going to cause everybody on planet Earth to make a decision to take this system inside of your flesh in order to be able to buy or sell anything on planet Earth.
Here, they will come to you. You don't have to convince them anymore. Don't try, because they have chosen
help
a
it.
side. They will come to you in peace and humility if they're ready to hear what you have to say. There isn't a debate. There is no conference. Those discussions are over. The only discussion that we're willing to have is with that person that comes in humility. Everybody else at this stage that comes against is simply shut off. If they're ready to hear what you have to say. There isn't a debate. There is no conference. Those discussions are over. The only discussion that we're willing to have is with that person that comes in humility.
The world. They're the ones that came up. Why do you think Click has so much damn information? But as soon as something happens, like
the only discussion that we're willing to have is with that person that comes in humility. Everybody else at this stage that comes against is simply shut off.
Can I read this? This is John 10, and I know we're a little all over the board, and we're hoping this comes out the way we, we just trust the Spirit of God to deliver it the way it needs to be delivered. This is Jesus talking about being the door. We were talking about the threshold, which totally ties in with this. This is John 10. Most assuredly, I say to you, John 10, beginning verse 1. Most assuredly, I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door is Christ. The door is the Christ process. Okay? If you don't enter through the door, you're an illegitimate child. That's what he's saying. You have to go through this. But climbs up, if he doesn't come that way, but if he climbs up another way, to go in another way, he's not willing to sacrifice. He's not.
That look was to him right here, to his brother John. Because she's bringing up John 10, whatever chat, doesn't matter. The point is she's talking about John, illegitimate child. He's telling you about Inky and Enlil, with Inky being an illegitimate child and referencing John at the same time.
Christ process, okay? If you don't enter through the door, you're
entering through the door of the Christ process. She's referring to Derek being born through the Christ process, which is the bloodline of the serpent, because the mother has to be the half sister of the father, and you can't enter through the door. Hey, a brief update. Well, that's good. It's good, a brief update. It just popped up. All right, now, what's Derek Burrows going to say in his update? He can pretend he didn't hear what I said. He can pretend he didn't hear what Justin's saying. But either way, over here, illegitimate child, talking about Kleka's brother, coming in through the door, not the right way. He's gleeing with glee because she's talking about how he was birthed, coming through the door.
He who does not enter the sheepfold by the door is Christ. The door is the Christ process. Okay? If you don't enter through the door, you're an illegitimate child. That's what he's saying.
Look at that. He's like, yeah.
You have to go through this. But climbs up, if he doesn't.
Hey, Derek, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me. Go ahead. As you're laughing right there, like, oh, man, he got me. Tell me you ain't thinking about your illegitimate brother, Jonathan Kleck, right at that moment.
Come that way, but if he climbs up another way, to go in another way.
Yeah, like being a concubine child.
He's not willing to sacrifice. He's not willing to.
Remember my John the Baptist video where I spoke of them.
Boom! See, when he's talking about it, illegitimate child, all of a sudden laugh and smile, and then remember John the Baptist video, because this really is what Kleck is doing. If you can't see it by now, he's not being Lucifer. He's not being Christ. He's just announcing that the Christ spirit is taking over, and you can't stop it.
When Jesus said about John the Baptist, since the days of John the Baptist until right now,
right? Because
I'm changing this right now, until from the days that he got here until right now, the violent have taken the kingdom by force.
So the reality is that office of Christ, which is your most inner depth consciousness, is still the office of Christ, even when the enemy is sitting in it.
Right. And
It's been usurped.
Right. And
That's what they are against you.
It can't.
Moses and Elijah have to come first. And
So these are the two characters playing Moses and Elijah coming first.
Now in the present, and that the prophecies that some would say are preconceived, and so they are being executed, that would be true.
and so we're at the end of the world, right? So somebody has to be the characters in the Bible.
Prophecies that some would say are preconceived, and so they are being executed, that would be true.
Again, it's too hard for me to believe that there's actual two brothers that are playing tug of war, and we just happen to be spectators.
Well, it wasn't actually me hard to believe that. It's referring to
Somebody has to be the characters in the Bible. And I know it seems like a fairy tale kind of like, I know a lot of my subs, you watch my video for whatever reason, because maybe mainly because I get up every day and I can at least relate to something that somebody's doing or saying or whatever, or you can relate to it. But for the most part, you see this as a fairy tale kind of, you don't really know who they are, Robin. You just, you got a good argument, but it's too hard for me to believe that there's actual two brothers that are playing tug of war, and we just happen to be spectators. All right, this was going to happen anyway.
And that the prophecies that some would say are preconceived, and so they are being executed, that would be true. But also that these prophecies can only be consistent because they match spiritually what is happening.
Show you his video.
Malia and I have been discussing things, and as the Father's time permits,
gets his attention immediately because Jonathan Clegg and Derek Burrows are the two main characters on planet Earth that they run this shit. I mean, they're running the world. You're seeing it shut down, the COVID-19. Why it's hard to believe. So you're telling me that there's two brothers, two serpents, both good and evil, and they're going to hop up on YouTube and make themselves known that they're the ones that run the entire planet, right?
Is it possible
is always talking about that
a man from
the
ancient past is responsible for coronavirus and the strategy that is being executed
I see
as we
that
speak in the present, and that the prophecies that some would say are preconceived, and so they are being executed, that would be true. But also that these prophecies can only be consistent because they match spiritually what is happening. So Malia and I have been discussing things, and as the Father's time permits, we know timing is perfect right now.
He's good. Well, right here he might be good, but over here he's good. He's good. Over there he's good.
And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and, well, he had two horns like a lamb. He spoke as a dragon. He exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he does great wonders, so he makes fire come down from heaven with his holographic images on the earth in the sight of men. Deceives everybody that hasn't been watching the Robin's Hood channel that dwell upon the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them, not only are you going to know that it's fake fire, but you're going to know who's actually doing it. I know a lot of people say on YouTube, I'm sure, that 7D technology, Project Blue Beam, the stars in the sky, you know, the ones I sent to Richard from Boston a long time ago, he didn't say anything about it, which made me know that he was from the inside. I'm sure people are saying that the images are going to come from the sky, but are they telling you who's the one behind it that's actually orchestrating it? So that'll deceive them that dwell upon the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell upon the earth, that they should make an image to the beast which had been wounded by the sword, because the whole entire system it's just wounded. Oh, snap. I thought it was going to all snap on me. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image and the beast should be killed. Now, also at the same time, if you don't worship Christ, the Lamb, that beast, you'll be killed as well, because you'll eventually die in Christ once you finally believe. But either way, he'll cause all, both small, great, rich, and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand and in their foreheads. Because right now, well, as of tomorrow, try waking up Monday morning in Pennsylvania, anybody, and go in the Wawa without a mask on and see if you can buy anything or sell anything. Well, no, as of this moment, they're still selling, but you can't buy. But they're putting a ratchet down and everything, unless you have the mark of the beast.
No. Let's make that clear. There's no national testing plan in place.
They're telling the nation's governors, you're going to call your own shots. He tweeted, the states have to step up their testing.
The mark.
Trump's "the buck stops with the states" posture is largely designed to shield himself from blame should there be new outbreaks after states reopen or for other problems.
The president's transparent blame shifting has not been lost on some traditionally conservative folks. James Petkoukis of the American Enterprise Institute tweeted, so Trump tells the governors they are calling the shots at the same time as encouraging resistance against those shots being called. What now?
In a series of all-caps tweets, the president tweeted, liberate Michigan, liberate Minnesota, and liberate Virginia. 3 states whose Democratic governors have issued stay-at-home orders